Okay, welcome everyone. My name is Richard Weil, and it is live today. And of course, I got a barking dog in the background. We're gonna have to put up with her for a minute more, hopefully not much more. And welcome everyone to the NRC Helpful Moment number 34. We are working today on the human resource side of reopening your restaurant, as well as a couple of really interesting pieces on video. And I'm going to ask you all to bear with me again while I shoot a dog, but that's okay. And the answer to the question is going to be for us, what do we need to keep doing in terms of your reputation, your online reputation? And I'm going to welcome in Brian Devine, of course, our president of Top Line Management and our co-branding partner with National Restaurant Consultants, and Sandy Clark, our senior consultant, who in her career has managed thousands and thousands of people and processes as being an operating company president, and over the years managing hundreds and hundreds of literally thousands of people over the years. So she's a very qualified expert when it comes to HR. So Brian, if you would please talk about controlling your reputation online.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to excuse a minute. I'll be right back. Go ahead.
Okay. So let's talk about it, because something that that kind of popped into my mind recently is something that I saw from the third-party delivery sites. And what happens is that when you have a third-party delivery company deliver the food for you, you're no longer in control of that piece of your reputation. And it started to make me uncomfortable, because I was seeing reviews that were negative towards a restaurant, but the restaurant itself hadn't done anything wrong. It was the delivery service that had let the customer down. And there's all kinds of things happening because there's so much delivery going on that these third-party delivery people, they might just sit in a restaurant and wait for the next order to come in if they're consistently getting them. And they'll let your food get cold while they're waiting for another order. And they might travel in the wrong way based on what's convenient for them. And so you're going to get colder food. You might not have a delivery handoff that you're comfortable with, because maybe they're not following the touchless system the way that a restaurant, you, the owner, would prefer. And that causes you to lose control of your reputation. And that reputation online is really the new referral. So you've got to get control of that. We've got great systems to help with that. But let me give you a tip. Just so that you can always know what's happening, make sure that you just set up a Google alert. It's free. And you track a couple of things. Number one, your name, the restaurant's name, anything else you can think of. But what you're doing is you're making darn sure, no matter what pops up out there, any reviews that might be negative that have nothing to do with you, they only have to do with that third-party delivery service, at least you can get control of it, because you could reach out to the person and say, look, that was DoorDash or Grubhub or Postmate or whatever it was, not us. Would you mind leaving a review on our food and not giving us like a 1 star when we were not in control of that? So I really want you thinking about that. Now, as we start going down this path of the possibilities of reopening, what that's going to look like, you've really got to consider doing your own delivery. And I know it is a whole other animal. It's a beast. But when you have an online ordering system that will automatically start keeping track of everything for you, it's not that hard. And people are looking for work. And if you can control that process, you're much better off, and you can keep in control of your online reputation. So that's what I wanted to cover today. Sandy or Richard, any questions about that, or that makes sense?
It covers it. It really is a nice segue when you say controlling your own destiny with people. I'm going to bring Sandy Clark in, our senior consultant here, as I introduced a little while ago. An expert on human resources. She's been around it a long time. So Sandy, we don't know exactly when restaurants are going to be rehiring and retraining and reopening, but there's a lot of steps in that process. As important as life, health, safety is to the reopening of a restaurant and protecting your staff and your guests, managing that HR piece is going to be very, very large. So would you please share with us some of your thoughts on that process? Thanks, Sandy.
Thank you, Richard. So I did some more research on 5 commonly asked questions that are surrounding bringing your employees back and opening your restaurant. So the first question that people ask is, I called my employee, I told them that I was ready to open, reinstate their job, and they told me that they had an at-risk person that they were living with at home, didn't want to bring the virus home to them, or that they had childcare issues now with schools canceled. So the government passed the Families First Coronavirus Resource Act, referred to as the FFCRA. And that covers these kinds of issues. Every employee with these kinds of issues has available 12 weeks at 2/3 pay. The first 2 weeks are emergency sick leave, not to exceed 80 hours. And then the rest of the time falls under FMLA if that employee was with you 30 days prior to this request. So the CARES Act also has a new pandemic unemployment assistance program that is specifically designed for parents who have COVID-19 related childcare issues. And that is something that people can file with the state to receive. So the next question that we hear is, I don't expect my business to be as healthy when I reopen. Can I bring back exempt staff at less than they were making before? And the answer to that is yes, but you need to be consistent and have some business logic there. So what it cannot look like is, hey, Sam, we had a really bad week this last week, and so I need to pay you less than I'm usually paying you. The other piece is the government has some really strong rules around what makes an employee's job responsibilities exempt. And so as you restructure your restaurant to reopen, you may find that that employee is no longer an exempt employee for a period of time and need to be an hourly employee. So be aware of that. The next question we hear is one of my favorites. So I called my employee back and he said, this unemployment gig is really a good one, and I don't want to come back for a while. So if your employee is on unemployment related to a COVID-19 closure or termination, they are no longer eligible for that unemployment the day that you reinstate their job, unless they fall under one of those FFCRA situations that we talked about in the first question. Now, what isn't clear yet is how that's communicated with the states. States are still working on what that's going to look like. So you need to stay tuned if you have an employee that gives you that response. So the next question is, do I have to rehire someone that I laid off? And there are no laws saying that you have to rehire someone that you laid off. But where we get ourselves in trouble is when we're feeling guilty during the layoff process, and we maybe say something like, hey, as soon as I reopen, I'll give you a call. That implies that you're going to give that person their job back. And so you could face a discrimination suit if you do not. But that said, if you had a clean separation with an employee, this is a great time to weed the garden and not bring the big thistles back. So things to consider: did I give some sort of severance, and is it going to overlap now that I'm reinstating that employee? Do I want to have a probationary period while before benefits click in again? And do I want to reevaluate all the wages in my establishment before I bring people in? Very important that you think through all of these before you start bringing people back, because you're setting precedents. And you want the precedents that you set to be the ones that you want, not the ones that are randomly assigned by being haphazard. So the final question that we hear is, it's really a pain in the butt. Do I have to do all that paperwork to bring on an employee who was with me before? The answer to that is, if they were terminated, yes. And be sure you remember the I-9 if that's applicable. That's often forgotten. So those are 5 quick questions that are often asked. There are some robust FAQ websites that you can access for further help. The EEOC, OSHA, the CDC, the Department of Labor, and that FFCRA. These are conversations that when you're talking to your employees, you both are going to have to take special care to really be communicating well. A lot of new rules, a lot of new acronyms, easy to get confused. And so listen carefully, make sure that you are answering the question that your employee is bringing to you. And if you can't answer it, you may want to consult your attorney. So just a quick look at some HR practices as you start bringing your employees back.
And certainly give us a call, our blog, our website, Facebook, or LinkedIn. We'd be happy to have you connect directly with Sandy. She can answer a lot of these questions for you. She's done an outstanding job researching this, and I really consider her an expert when it comes to human resources and stuff. So thank you, Sandy, for joining us. Brian, that was an outstanding piece of advice in terms of managing your reputation.
Thank you.
That's it for today on our helpful moment number 34. And that's it. So bye for now, everybody. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.